Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our July product showcase. Thank you for joining me today. I see folks are trickling in. I'm going to give everybody a minute or two to make sure we're all here before we start. My name is Miliha Zajkovic, and I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager here at CharityEngine. I will be leading us today through this demo of our latest product enhancements. I'm also joined by my colleague, Michaela. Michaela is in the chat. Michaela is our technical project manager, and she'll be helping to answer some of your questions via chat. I'll also be taking your questions live. If you are joining us today for the first time and this is your first product showcase, feel free to drop us a note in the chat. Let us know where you're dialing in from. For those of you that are new, product showcases are a great way to learn about the latest enhancements and newest features in CharityEngine, and hopefully spark some ideas around new fundraising opportunities you can try or explore. Along with sharing new product features, we also try to revisit core platform capabilities and answer any of your questions. A big part of the features that I'll be showing you today are directly influenced from client feedback. So thank you to all of you who submit product feedback regularly. That is much appreciated. Before I jump into our agenda today, just a reminder that you will receive a recording of our product showcase after today's session. And your cameras and mics are off. No need to worry about any of that. So let's dive in. This is our agenda for today. We're going to be looking at some enhancements to our online bill pay app. We also have some new enhancements that will allow you to recoup missed gifts by your monthly donors whose credit cards may have expired. And so now you can recapture their missed payments. We're also going to demo our Zapier integration. I've been talking about Zapier integration for a while now. Today, I'll be showing you how to integrate with a sample third-party tool and hopefully spark some ideas around how you can leverage Zapier and CharityEngine together. And then finally, we're going to take a look at our report builder. We did have some improvements in our report builder that just streamline your workflow a little bit when it comes to creating reports. All right, before I jump into the platform, I just want to highlight a note about Zapier. I've been also, as much as I've been hearing about from customers about when Zapier is coming out and when we'll have access to it, I've also been getting questions about what is Zapier. So if you are unfamiliar with Zapier, essentially Zapier is an online automation platform that allows you to connect, in this case, CharityEngine, with any of the more than 7,000 tools that are in their app library. And so what that does is allows you to sync data between CharityEngine and another tool. It also allows you to create automated workflows that could potentially streamline some repetitive tasks that you may be doing day in and day out. And the best part is that this automation, setting up these automations are simple as, creating a quick workflow. There's no coding or any technical knowledge required, yet you are setting up these super fancy custom workflows and automations. And obviously, the added benefit is if you are wanting to connect with other tools by making sure that they're connected with CharityEngine, your database of record, you're creating a way for your donor CRM, your CRM, to have centralized data and be updated. So let's say if you're using MailChimp for email, you want to make sure that as you're getting new names, those are being synced into CharityEngine, and vice versa. If you are creating, if you get a new name in CharityEngine, want to make sure that information is reflected in a tool like MailChimp. Zapier is also a good solution to keep that data centralized. All right, so with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to go inside the app. So let's go and share here. All right, bear with me for a moment. All right. And I believe I am sharing now. So we're going to go ahead and start with our first feature, which is online bill pay enhancements. As I mentioned earlier, this enhancement allows you to send a personalized custom link to let your donors upgrade or increase their future monthly gifts, or whatever that recurring gift is, whatever cadence, their current frequency they're currently giving at. So let's go ahead and go to our sustainers listing screen. I'm going to go to transactions, sustainers, and I'm going to go to actually our collection screen, not our listing screen, pardon me. So if you have monthly donors, you're typically going to this screen to see any that have an upcoming balance due and are collectible. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some filters. So I see some folks that are my recurring donors. I see their amount. I see when their next due date is, and so on. Now, if I hover over the 3-dot ellipses and go to pay online now, I will actually get to see what their online invoice experience is like. This is if I were to send them this invoice and they landed here, they would be able to pay their online monthly gift. Now we've added an additional option here that you could use if you are wanting to run, say, an upgrade campaign. So you can say, mine your database, find everybody that's giving, say, anywhere between $20 and $50 a month, and you can send them create a list and send them a blast email asking them to upgrade just by $5. Now, for somebody who's giving $20 to $50, giving $5 more may not be a big deal. However, for you, if you have substantial enough of donor pool, getting $5 across from multiple accounts, that could be a sizable impact on your fundraising. So if I click here on increase support, this is kind of that experience where they can increase their, see in this case, I have a donor who gives $15 a month, and the default increase is by 5, but you can certainly customize this page to increase even by 10 or 20, whatever makes sense. But I also want to show you how I can actually send my donors a link that will take them here automatically so they can go through this process, right? So they can land here and upgrade their gift. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and go to my campaigns application. So I'm going to open another window here. And in campaigns, we're going to go to our creative. I'm going to just show you a sample creative where I've set up a hypothetical upgrade campaign for my monthly donors, for my recurring donors rather. So here we go. I'm going to go to creative here. All right. So this is my creative listing screen. This is where I have all of my creative. I have set up an email here, and my subject line is just $5 more can do even more good. So I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to show you how I've set this up. All right. Let me make some adjustments to this email. So for example, I'm gonna make this a little bigger so we can all see. So I'm going to customize this with a token. I wanted to say dear donor name. So I'm going to go to token and find my first name token, copy that and insert it here. All right, so I have some language here that thanks this donor for their monthly contribution. And then I have my CTA. I'm asking, would you consider increase your monthly donation just by $5? And so what I want is for them to have a very easy and intuitive experience that if they're willing to do that, they could just click on this link right here and be taken to that page where they can easily follow the workflow to increase their gift. And so the way to do that, I'm going to leverage something we call special links. And so I'm going to go ahead and delete this just to show you how I've done this. And I'm going to go under payment and sustainer payment link. Okay. Now I'm going to tweak this a little bit so that it's specific to that $5 increase. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and select, and then under this link icon, I'm going to click that. That's going to allow me to customize my language text that I want to display, and as well as add some URL information here that it's going to customize that link to go up $5. And again, it can be 10, but for this case, I'm just going to do 5. All right, so instead of saying sustainer payment link, I'm just going to do, I'm going to say yes, increase my gift by $5. Oops, $5. Okay. And then here, we're going to add some information here that it's going to tell that link to go $5 up. So give me a second here. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just write and show upgrade option equal 1. An upgrade option equal 1 is our default option that goes up by $5. And again, you don't have to remember this. We're going to have some documentation shortly here in the Help Center that's going to allow you to see some of the options, the way you can customize this link. All right, I'm going to save that. All right, so now I have this link, and I can go ahead and save and then add my audience and send. Okay. And so when I send this, the experience may look something like this. You can see here in this case, Mary is a donor who has received this communication. I can see my token is working. And then when I click this, what I'll see is this experience. Now, if I'm a donor and I land here, and I click on this count me in, what I can see here is I can provide my updated credit card information, and I can see that this checkbox is checked off, and it says increase my future support to $20, which is $5 more than 15. So again, using that link in the creative section, again, this is special links, payment, sustainer payment link is a great way to run an upgrade campaign. And, you know, whether you decide to ask your donors to give $5 more, $6 more, $10 more, whatever makes sense based on your data, this is a very easy workflow for them to just say yes, and then all of their future gifts will be that higher amount. All right, I'm going to pause here for a moment. I just want to make sure there aren't any questions. Give me one moment, and then we'll go to our next feature. And bear with me today. I'm using only 2 monitors. Normally I have 3. Hang on just a second. All right, looks like we do have some questions. Is this only applicable if your donors are utilizing the user center? Great question. Michaela is right. This applies to everybody. Everybody can get the sustainer link. I see that we also have a question from Mindy. Hello, Mindy. What if their card is already on file? Do they need to put in that info data again? I don't believe they need to put in that data again, but I will confirm that for you and make sure to circle back. Either I'll circle back or Michaela. All right, so let's go to our next feature. We're going to be looking at a related feature to online or recurring giving. And that is our missed gift recovery. So donors who actually have expired, will have expired credit cards on file, and they're being prompted to provide updated information in the donor portal, so that you can collect, oftentimes may have missed a payment or two while they were kind of being prompted to provide the update information. In other words, a few months can go by before they do that, before they update their information. And so you're missing out on a couple of months of those gifts. And so in the admin console, in the admin side of CharityEngine, we've had a way now for, I believe, several months to catch up folks on their missed payments. But now that option also exists in the donor portal. So I'm going to show you how that experience looks like. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and open up our donor portal. So I'm going to go ahead and go online application, and within the constituent portal, this is where you will normally configure your online portal, but I'm just going there so that I can grab a link so that I can go to the online donor portal login. All right, so I'm going to log in here as myself. Give me a moment here, assuming that I am a monthly donor. All right. Too many passwords to juggle, as usual. All right, here we go. That should work. All right, so I'm now in my donor portal. Now this isn't configured. I don't have my picture or anything configured. You can see, I can see my events, my volunteer sign-ups. I don't have any upcoming posts, as well as volunteer posts that I've signed up for already. Now, by the way, if your organization for whom this isn't relevant, you can easily turn this off so that it does not show up in the donor portal. But the reason we're here is because we want to take a look at a sustainer account, right? So obviously I have too many here. Normally this wouldn't be the case. If you have a monthly donor, you usually have a monthly single account for them. This is a demo instance, so that's why there's so many. But I'm going to go ahead and go into one of these accounts. And so, for example, in this case, you can see my monthly payment, next payment is due on 8/27, and I have actually missed 2 donations, which is now totaling to $40. I can, as a donor, click here to make them up. Now, if I do that, what happens is I can see these boxes are now checked off. I have a donation that was supposed to be paid on 7/27, as well as a donation that's paid on 6/27. So I can, in other words, catch up on the missed donations as I update my information. So that's an easy way to recoup additional dollars. A lot of times what you'll find is that donors, monthly or recurring donors who are willing to go into the portal, update their information, they're more than often willing to also catch up on the last couple of months in which they may have missed their recurring gift. All right. I'm going to pause here again to see if I have any questions, and I'm just going to open the chat. One moment. All right. Looks like we don't have any additional questions. I'm going to go ahead and move forward. I want to show you the upgrade to our report builder. So give me a moment and I'll get there. And then after a report builder, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Zapier. So traditionally, people have created reports in 2 ways. They either go to a listing screen such as this, and they may end up using some filters right here, and then they save that report and they can load it either from this screen, or they can go to the general report builder and see it there. Alternative is obviously to use queries, but for those that have saved reports from listing screens such as this, you can now actually initiate a report from the general report builder. So what I mean, if we go to our reports section, we go under general and go to report builder. If you're familiar with report builder, you know that here is where all of your prior saved reports live. This is an easy way to go back and search anything you may have saved. Now what we have added is an ability to initiate a report from this screen. And so when you click this plus sign, you now have an ability to say, all right, what kind of report do I want to create? Is it an opportunities report? Is it a contacts report, transactions, and so on? So in this case, let's say I'm creating a contacts report. I can click here. Now I am actually in the contact listing screen, and I am prompted to add some filters and save my report, and essentially go through that report creation process. So you can see here, there's a new message. It says configure filters to select data and click report icon to select fields and save. And so I can put in some filters here. And again, I have my advanced filters here. Once I've applied the filters that I wanted, I'm happy with my report. I would click this little icon, which is the same thing as here, and follow the standard report creation process of selecting my columns and saving them. So if you are thinking of, all right, I need a report, but I can't remember which listing screen I need to go to create it, and I know I don't want to go down the path of queries, now there's this new option, which you can just go to the reports, which is pretty intuitive to remember, general report builder, and you can always get started here to remind yourself, all right, what kind of report I want to create, and I can see at least all of the samples that I can start from this choose a report dialog box. Okay, this enhancement was in response to direct customer feedback, so we're certainly hopeful that's something that will be helpful to many of you. All right, and let me take another pause, check on questions here. All right, looks like we have some all right, we have some questions about where the report builder is. So I'm going to just go here one more time. The report builder is if you go under more and you have reports. All of you should have reports regardless of your account. So if you go to reports, you can go to general report builder, or if you just go to the dashboard, you can also see the report builder right here. It's the first option in your reports dashboard. Now, when I am here, I can see all of my prior reports or initiate a new report as we've just shown. Okay, I hope that answers that questions. Let me see here if I have any more. All right, I see some enhancements. All right, very good. All right, and let's go ahead and take a look at Zapier. So for today's demonstration, I'm going to assume that we are connecting CharityEngine with MailChimp. I know that a lot of our clients actually use CharityEngine's email automation, email capability, but I do understand there's some that are using other tools such as Constant Contact and MailChimp and so on. And just so that, to kind of demonstrate the basics of Zapier, I thought this would be a good place to start and show you how to use Zapier to connect to tools. All right, so with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and go to Zapier. So if you're familiar with Zapier, this is kind of how their interface looks. And pardon me, in this case, I'm going to be creating a simple Zap, which is what their automation workflows are called. And so I'm going to click the big create button here, and I'm creating a Zap, which is an automated workflow. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and select my trigger. Now, trigger is something that is triggering this automation to start working. So in this case, I want to trigger it based on something happening in CharityEngine. All right, so I'm going to find CharityEngine here. And again, if you are already using Zapier and you're looking for CharityEngine, you can't find us. That's because you need an invite. Invites are free of charge. This is a free offering, so just be sure to submit a request to support@charityengine.net, and you will get an invite to our Zapier. We will be available publicly where you will not require an invite soon, but we are in the beta phase where we need certain number of users to use this app before it is distributed publicly where we no longer have to invite folks exclusively. All right, so I found CharityEngine, and now I'm going to choose, I have options for 2 triggering events. My triggering event could be a new contact or a new transaction. So in this case, I'm going to say, all right, anytime I have a new contact in CharityEngine, probably as a result of donation, somebody giving a donation or participating in my P2P campaign, what I want to make sure is I want to make sure that my email syncs, so their email, their contact information syncs over to my MailChimp, because that's how I'm going to be communicating with them regarding my other campaigns, right? And so I'm going to click new contact. And so here's where I'm going to connect my CharityEngine account. Okay, so I'm going to select, and the way to do that is you're going to be prompted to enter your CharityEngine credentials. Now, important thing to remember here, these are not your CharityEngine credentials, but rather Zapier specific CharityEngine credentials. So what I mean is, if you go to our settings and you go under our integrations, you will see Zapier. Now, your Zapier credentials will live here, and these will be the same for anybody at your organization. So let me just show you that real quick, and then we'll get back to the Zapier platform. Did I click on that? Here we go. All right. So in this case, I've already set mine up. It's super easy to set them up. You really just enter any username and password. But you can see sort of what I've set up here for my organization. And so I'll go ahead get back here, and I'm gonna go ahead and enter those credentials. So in this case, it was Aliha Sejkovic, and I will add my password. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and continue. And that is really all it takes to connect Zapier to your CharityEngine account. I can see now I'm connected. I'm going to go ahead and continue. All right. So what the system wants to do, what Zapier wants to do, is it wants to make sure that I've actually connected to the right platform, that I've connected to the right place. And so it's going to ask me to test my trigger. Now, if I click test, if I have created any sort of new contact recently in CharityEngine, it would appear here. And so to test this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually go ahead and I'm going to actually create a contact so that I can see and make sure that I'm connected properly, just so that I can confirm that it's syncing over to Zapier. So let's go ahead and just create a super basic contact here with just first name, last name, and email, and see if our test works. So I'm going to say our contact is Megan Smith, and I'll just put in the email address, and that'll be that, Megan Smith at Gmail. All right, unfortunately, I do think I have a field here that I've made required. This will not be something that you have on your end, so just bear with me for a moment. All right, so we have our first name, last name, and email. I'm going to go ahead and save. I now have a new record, Megan Smith. All right, so now that I've created a record, I'm going to go back to my Zapier interface, and I'm going to test my trigger. All right, let's see. It takes a moment. Now, I see that a contact A has been identified. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this to see if it's pulling that information. Yes, it is. I can see Megan Smith is syncing. I can also see email address. You can see all these other fields are empty because I didn't fill them out. But if I had done that, I would see them here as well. All right, so this looks good. I'm going to go ahead and continue. And so now, all right, I know I've verified that I'm pulling the right information from CharityEngine. Now, what do I want to do with this information? So in this case, I wanted to go over to MailChimp. So I'm going to click MailChimp in this case, and you can always search here. All right, and then similarly, I'm going to say, what do I want to do? What's the action that I want to do once I've gotten that information? So in this case, there's lots of options, but I'm going to go ahead and select add or update subscriber, right? So in CharityEngine, they're not contacts or subscribers. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and then follow that same process for logging into your MailChimp account. You would simply click here, enter your credentials, and move forward. All right, this is the last step before we're done, which is mapping our fields, configuring our fields. So I'm going to make sure I select CharityEngine here. I want to make sure that my subscriber email is properly mapped. So I'm going to find email field here and select that. And then for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to actually map first name and last name. And that's about it. So let's go ahead and find our first name field here. Here we are. I'm going to click plus sign, find first name. There it is. Last name field. There it is. All right. Looks like I've mapped at least those basics. All this looks good. I'm going to go ahead and continue. All right. And before I actually test the step, it's giving me one final look at the information and how it's mapped. I can see I have email field and first name, last name mapped. All of that looks good to me. So I'm going to test this step. All right. So when I test the step, it's actually going to go ahead and pull the information and take it to MailChimp. So it says here, a subscriber was sent to MailChimp about in 0 seconds. Now, typically the data gets pulled roughly every 15 minutes, but when you're doing the test, it happens instantly. And so every 15 minutes, once I publish this, Zapier will evaluate whether there are any new contacts in CharityEngine and then pull them into MailChimp. Now, just so we close the loop on this, I'm going to go ahead and go into my MailChimp account, and I want to make sure that Megan Smith is actually pulled in. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Give me one moment. Oh, wrong information. There we go. All right. So if you're familiar with MailChimp, this is their interface. And so I'm just going to go to my audience section here. And I can see my last contact here was Megan Smith. And I can see that she is pulled in as a subscriber. That is because that's how I set up the automation. And I can also see that the source of this contact is Zapier. All right. So this is just a basic demonstration of how you can use Zapier to connect CharityEngine to all kinds of tools. And really, the options are limitless here. I've already been exploring some interesting ways that our clients are beginning to use Zapier to set up cool automations, whether it's connecting to ChatGPT and using that to write some hyper-personalized emails and follow-up emails in response to major gifts and so on. So I definitely encourage you to explore what you can do with Zapier and CharityEngine. All right, I'm going to see if there's any more questions regarding Zapier. And that is all I have for you today. Let's see. All right, looks like we don't have any questions today. I am just going to take a moment to remind you that our next showcase is on August 28th. We're always doing the last Thursday of the month. So August 28th at 2 p.m. And just a little preview or a clue about what we'll be looking at. I suspect that by then our Gmail connector, ability to connect CharityEngine with Gmail out of the box connection, will be available. So if that's the case, I plan to demo that capability then. Looks like I do have one more question. Are there any added fees or costs? No, this is a Zapier integration is free of charge. You can certainly use this as soon as you get that invite from our support team. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful. I look forward to seeing you next month. All right. Bye-bye.